Welcome to Pots, Pans, and Pioneers. Today I'm going to show you how to make this pineapple 7-Up cake. Welcome to Pots, Pans, Pioneers. Today I'm going to be doing a pineapple 7-Up cake. Now, for most of us middle-aged or old-timers, we remember the 7-Up cake that was real popular in the 50s, using, just 7-Up, because it had just come out not too, far ahead of that. 7-Up was a new soda on the shelf. So today I'm going to do the easy version of that. Now, my grandmother would have used the recipe from scratch, and if you have cake flour, just follow your cake flour recipe and use the wet ingredients that I have here, and it will turn out just the same. So I'm going to be using a Betty Crocker butter recipe. You can use any cake mix you like. I just prefer cake mix this particular brand. But if you like a Pillsbury, we're going to use a package of pudding mix. This is the instant pudding mix, and I'm using French vanilla, but you could use just plain vanilla if you have it. We're going to use 4 eggs. And I have 13 hens, so I get my eggs fresh. And I'm just using the ones they lay, which are about it's a large to extra large egg. So I'm going to use 4 of these. All right. And we're getting about a dozen a day, so I always need to find recipes that have to do with lots of eggs. Okay. I'm going to put my beater on here before I forget it. There we go. We're going to use 1 1/4 cups of 7-Up. Now, I have one of their smaller little bottles. If you have a 2-liter, just measure it out in your wet measuring cups. I keep this around occasionally for when I'm not really feeling good or nauseated. 7-Up or Sprite really help. Okay. And I'm going to use a full stick of butter. And this is real butter, this is not margarine. So if you want to use margarine, you can. I've just never made this recipe with margarine, so I don't know how it's going to turn out for you. And you want it kind of soft. This is a medium soft, but we'll get it beating up here. And hopefully it'll all stay in the pool. Just gonna help it along a little bit, and you want to get the air really moving in it, so you want to, you can't probably see it. Let me move the camera a little bit. There we go. You want that butter. I see little bitty butter, little bits of butter, and you really want to, make sure you get all those. And once you have it baked or mixed really well, we're going to pour it into a bundt pan. I'm going to use a bundt pan for this particular recipe. The 4 eggs are really going to make this thing really rise up in this pan. So just so you know, for any reason your cake doesn't rise, you must have a very old cake mix or something didn't get added. I'm not sure, because this is really going to rise up high. Okay, let's get the meters cleaned off. My husband is out mowing, and that's the noise you're hearing. And I wanted to say Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers, grandmothers, and young mothers out there. Today is Mother's Day, and I'm making this cake for my neighbor. I'm gonna go bring it down there to her. A little bit of the cake mix didn't mix, but we'll get that in there. Okay, let's get this over here. Move that out of the way. And get this over here. So y'all can see. And there's little bits of butter, but I think it'll be fine. My grandmother always told me to make sure the butter's mixed in real well, but I think this will be okay. All right. I'm gonna try to make sure the air bubbles get all up to the top here. We'll get this off so it doesn't burn on that. Okay, we're gonna put this in a 350-degree oven. Just follow the directions on the cake box. I always put cakes at about 35 minutes, but follow your cake box. Whichever you normally do a cake at, that's what I just know my oven already since I've had it for a while. It's about 35 minutes. So we'll be back when the cake comes out of the oven. Okay, our cake's out of the oven, really pretty. 35 minutes at 350. Now let's go to the stove and make our frosting. Okay, for the frosting you're going to need a 20-ounce can of pineapple in the juice. Just put the can in your saucepan. You're going to add a stick of butter. It doesn't matter if it's softened or not, because we're going to cook it. And I'm using real butter again, not margarine. We're going to use 1 lemon squeezed, and I'm just using the sieve so I don't have to worry about seeds. And the lemon will just really make this pineapple taste really fresh, like it's just been picked. Okay. We're going to add two tablespoons of flour. And I've got this on about 4 on my stove, but I say a medium high heat because you want to get everything incorporated. And we need a 1/2 cup, 1.5 cups of sugar. And I'm using pure cane sugar. And then you want to take 2 large eggs and you want to beat them. If you just add them in here, they're going to more than likely cook, and you don't want that. So we need to get this all mixed up. And it's not really hot yet, so I'm just going to mix this up and just keep stirring. Mash up my butter. Let me use a whisk. I bet this will work better with the whisk. Turn the temperature up a little bit. Get this all incorporated. And I'm going to add a dash of vanilla. Now this is a cake you want to keep refrigerated. You don't really want to leave this out on the counter. This will also work really well as a sheet cake if you just have a 11 by 12 or a large cake pan. This works really well. I just find it really hard to store in the refrigerator, and I like to slice my cakes up and put them in a bowl. You don't want to stop stirring, you just want to keep stirring it. So it can get up to temperature. The egg and the flour is really going to make this thicken up. Another thing you can add is a half a cup of shredded coconut. I don't like shredded coconut, but I do like a coconut flavor, so I'm going to add a little bit of I have some coconut syrup from the Torani's coconut syrup, and I'm just going to add a little bit of that. Let me go grab it. Probably 2 tablespoons. I'm just going to eyeball it. Okay, we'll be back. I'm going to let this get up to a rolling boil, and then we'll cut off the stove and we'll let it cool just a little bit and thicken up before we put it on. And what we're going to do is I've turned the fire off, and we're going to let this cool. And as it cools, it's going to thicken up on you. Okay, so we'll be back once this cools down. Okay, so I've got the frosting. It's cooled a little bit. It's still just a tad bit warm, and I've poked holes in the top of the bundt cake, and I'm just spooning the pineapple over the cake. And I'm using this more as a, I want the juices to soak up in the cake. So I'm just gonna easily pour it over the cake like this. And then once this completely cools, you want to put it in your refrigerator to really get it chilled down. We serve this with whipped cream or Cool Whip, or you can use the aerosol whipped cream. And I always have a lot of this glaze left over. And what I end up doing is I put it in a Ziploc bag and I freeze it. And when I make homemade ice cream, or we have milkshakes or something like that, this is the perfect filling to go in those. I always have some left. If you did this in a sheet pan, you would pour this over the top of the sheet pan, all of it. And as it cools, it would just sit on top of the sheet pan. But when you're doing it in a bundt size, you're going to have extra glaze, left over. And so anytime that happens, I just always know that I'm going to have leftovers, and I just, go ahead and prepare it in the freezer. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you'll try to make this pineapple 7-Up cake. There are many recipes for the pineapple 7-Up cake. This is my grandmother's version of it, and I hope you'll try it and come back and visit us, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Have a blessed day.